Ani bojo hajashko benesi kwetish nakaz makwadodam. As I shared earlier, my name is Kelly Hashemi. My spirit name is Blue Thunderbird Woman, and I'm from the Bear Clan. My name, I've had many names. I am a 60s scoop survivor and thriver, but survivor first. My birth name, when I always knew I was adopted. I was adopted, and my mother that adopted me is here today, and she's just my mom. She's just my mom, not my adoptive mom. She's my mom. It's the only mom I've known. But when I was born, my birth mom gave me the name Margaret Ann. But then sadly, I didn't have a last name. I had a number and a letter attached to my non-identifying information. So Margaret Ann. And I always wondered, like, what she knew after I was born, because I was taken right from birth, that I would not be with her. Did she name me after someone? You know, these are things that I wonder. And then when I was adopted, I received a beautiful name, Kelly Lee. Shapiro is my maiden name. Hashemi is my married name. But that just adds to my flavor. And then I became Kelly Hashemi at 18. And I had children, and I was married, and I had children. I had children with Iranian fella, and he's a very good man. My kids are wonderful. But those are all the names I've had. And being a 60s scoop, we didn't have that language in the 70s and in the 80s. Even up into the 90s, we didn't know what that meant. I just thought, as many of you have and still do, I was adopted. I was given up. Maybe my mom was young. Maybe she was unmarried. You know, I was given up for a better life. That's what I assumed, you know, from watching movies and this and that. I was adopted, and that was okay. And I always wondered, you know, I never knew anybody who looked like me, did things like me. I never seen myself in anybody, ever, until I had children. But so I always wondered, like, how hard could it have been for her to just keep me? You know, how hard could it have been? I had a beautiful life, you know, a beautiful childhood. But you always wonder. And I was mad. I was angry at my mom for not even trying, because I knew I came right from, like, I was put into foster care right from the hospital. And I think I was in foster care 6 or 9 months before I was adopted. So we speak of truth and reconciliation. Even with myself, now that I know, now that we all are aware of the impacts and the policies that were put in place with the residential schools, what they had hoped that would happen was for us to no longer be natives, no longer be indigenous, no longer be specifically Anishinaabe or Cree or Haudenosaunee. They did not want us to have that strength that comes with having your identity, your culture, your history, your stories, your songs, your ceremonies, your food, your territories, your family. When you have all that, you're strong. And they could not have us be strong. And I was so mad at my mom. And when I was in the Presbyterian Church, I worked for them first. I worked 5 years in North End Ministry in Winnipeg. And it was beautiful. And then I went to the United Church. They lured me with, hey, I know the Presbyterians got you, but we want you, and we'll give you your education. So I'm like, okay. It didn't take much for me to go there. But when I was sitting with the Presbyterian Church, this is in the 90s, early 90s, okay? They were working on their confession to the Aboriginal peoples, which is basically their apology for the residential schools and the impact. And I was very young. I think I was 21, 22. And I was still discovering myself. And I knew about the residential school, but I didn't know. You know when you know, oh yeah, there was residential schools. My mom went to residential school. I did not know what happened, why it happened, and the impact of that. I did not know I was part of that too, being taken from my mom. She didn't even have a chance to have, she tried 3 girls. She had 3 girls. Not one of them she was able to raise. Not one of them. But when I discovered about the residential schools and the impact it had, I was mad at myself for being mad at her. It wasn't her fault. I was so that piece of the reconciliation needs to happen too. So when you meet our community, the Indigenous folks, you're going to see some that are, at different stages of healing and dealing. Some are still in just survival mode. We need to eat today. I need to find a place to sleep today. And that's where they're at. And that's okay. But everybody's in different stages, just as you are in life too, right? Because reconciliation, for me, had to begin with me, for being mad at her. And once we can get there within ourselves, and that's not just me, because my mom was in residential school, with you too. Because we may have had some silly ideas or thoughts or ideas about Indigenous people before. And then when you went into the community or you met somebody at work, and then you're like, oh, they're not as they're not as bad as everybody's made them out to be, right? Maybe you've had some silly ideas, or just because you didn't know. We have to reconcile with ourselves too. And that's where the truth comes in. Speak the truth, and mostly speak the truth with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And then we can begin the journey of reconciliation together, side by side. Because each one of us has a piece of that pain, and even just the discovery of it. I remember when the first bodies were being discovered, how all of a sudden everybody's like, what? We didn't know. But we did. We did. And it was beautiful for me to see, now they're getting it. Because before we'd be all up in arms about this. We have to stop. We have to make change. We have so much work to do to bring healing and health to communities, right? But when other folks were dismissive of our pain and our issues, that was hard to live through. And when folks opened their eyes and realized the impact and realized the history, seeing the true history, that opened up the door for us to reconcile and work on that together. So today, with our tobacco tie, I'm thinking of all the mothers that didn't get to see their kids ever. Never mind grow up. Some of them never got to meet them. I think of all the young fellows too that didn't have mother or father, or left the residential schools and never went back home even because they didn't feel connected either, right? So I'm thinking of all those folks. And I'm also looking the future, because I can't keep going back like that, looking back, because then you trip, right? I am so blessed to have two beautiful adult children and two wonderful, amazing grandchildren that are so connected with who they are. They don't have what I have to carry. And I don't have what my mom and my grandmother, my great-grandparents, my ancestors had to carry. They can focus on school and band, right? They don't have that, like, who am I? They know. And they're proud and they know their culture right from the start. They know their songs. My grandson gets annoyed when it's clan days. He's like, oh, clan days. Because we learn our roles and responsibilities in our culture, right? And I just think, oh, look at him. He's complaining about clan days. No, to me, that's a privilege to complain, because we couldn't even. We didn't know our clans, our names, our culture, our language. And already I see my kids and my grandkids. They knew it right from go. So things are moving in a beautiful direction. And thank you all for being here today and for planning such a beautiful Reconciliation Sunday. All the thought and heart that went into even the hymn selection. I'm so moved. So I'm going to say chi, miigwech. And chi means big. So thank you so much.